back then, they used to have categories. So category B was your classic case officer, and you were brought on board and you were sent to the farm for, a number of months to learn all the tradecraft stuff. So we were brought in as category C officers, and Cat Cs were called special skills. So you had, all the stuff that we brought in as cops, or if you were military or what have you, you were category C. In fact, the ground branch guys, our building for protective security branch was outside of headquarters, and we were under some other cover. And the floor above us were all the ground branch guys, and we were all Cat Cs. And so kind of knuckle draggers, I guess we were considered. They looked at us that way for a while. Um, but what they had a course called OCA, Ops Course Accelerated. And so we did the job for a while. So I was able to go, my first job was in Kinshasa, Zaire, and Mobutu's folks, and went to Malta, Singapore, then Lee Kuan Yew, and then a bunch of things. And then about a year into the job, I and some others were assigned to OCA. So it was 10 to 12 weeks. So it was a condensed version of what the Cat B's got, but you did all the the stuff, how the recruiting cycle, spotting, assessing, developing, recruiting, reporting, the surveillance, counter surveillance. Back then it was also clandestine photography, but you'd have to go in the dark room and actually do this spool in order to develop the film, and invisible writing, and but it was a condensed version. It was very good. I found it challenging. And then you did the whole recruitment cycle where you were given a target at the beginning of your class. You, like all of us, you pretend like you're in a foreign country, how to, and you've experienced that, where your whole time in training, you're a diplomat in a foreign country. You're given a target, and there's a recruitment cycle that you have to go through. And if you do well, you get to the next meeting with your instructor slash recruit target. And then you do the pitch. And so it was all of that. So we like to say as Cat Cs, we could do what the Cat Bs do, but they can't do what we do, right? And that was kind of our thing. But it was a great job. We got to we deal with a lot of great services around the world. Koreans, we helped train a combined group of Koreans prior to the '86 Olympics. We trained out in there was a group called the 707 back then. There was their version of Delta Force, the South Koreans, and we trained on their compound. And with it was usually a 3 or 4 week course, teaching them basically protective operations, how to protect a VIP or president, blah blah blah, and everything from shooting, driving, bomb searches. I tried to put in an element of stuff I learned in Oakland, like how to search a suspect properly, handcuffing, all that kind of stuff. But again, like I said, a big part of it was to be able to work with the local station. And if you found officers that were promising, then because we would always use someone from the station as a VIP for our 3-day final exercise. And that way that person would be able to get to know some of the students who we were looking at. But another seminal moment was one day when Servanak called us in. I and a guy named Scott Kafer, who was former LAPD bomb squad guy, Prado knows him well, one of our best friends. And he called us and he said, okay, I'm going to make you guys team leaders. And I never thought about leadership. I was just enjoying the job, right? And he said, but I want you to start leading teams. And this is kind of like the Nishihara thing way back when as a cop. He said, but I want you to remember something. And I'm paraphrasing because it's been many years, but he said, up until this point, you have the right to be selfish in a good way. Like you want to grow your career and you want to progress and you want to do well in the agency. Now your mindset shifts, and your job is not to take care of your troops. You have to be selfless. And I always remember that term from him. So now it's about them, their care and feeding, their career development, making sure that you give them what they need to succeed. You'll succeed because they succeed, right? And That I always remember that. Unfortunately, he passed away over, I think, during COVID period. But for a huge generation of us, he was the quintessential leader.
Mm.
He was big, and he could be brash, and he's a fun-loving guy, but really smart and cared about his people. Sometimes to a fault, but I'd rather have someone like that than someone that doesn't care about their folks at all. And so that started my leadership journey in the agency, in that particular unit. And then I started moving on to other places within the agency. I had a very interesting trajectory in the agency.
If you enjoyed that clip, watch the full episode here or another clip here.